Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. Today, got one of our longtime coaches, Curt Kippenberger, is joining me. He's been a coach prior to MCM. He's been a coach with MCM for a while. He's my right-hand man in the East Mastermind group. And today we're going to just kind of dive into the updated landscape of evidence-based practices, what we're seeing that are good and awesome out there, some of the struggles we're seeing, some of the things we're excited about, and kind of give the updated lay of the land of what practices are facing and things are doing to overcome that. And so I always like to have Curt on the episode here to give us a little bit of update on that. And he's in the trenches, but also working with a lot of practices. And it's been cool to see some of the growth that his clients have had and our clients in general. So, but before we dive into that, I want to make mention we do have in June, if you're for our European audience, or if you're in North America and want to fly over, we actually have a few people that will be doing that. We're going to have a June 20th masterclass in London. It'll be Dr. Curt Chippendale and myself on the patient experience. It's going to be all day Saturday. He's going to do half, and I'm going to do half. He's going to tackle patient communication. I'm going to talk a lot about service, hospitality, and marketing during that patient experience as well. And we're going to have a good time diving into that. We're going to probably cap it at about 25 people. That again will be on June 20th in London. We have a venue and everything already, and just go to bit.ly/MCMUK26. That is bit.ly/MCMUK26. We'll put that in the show notes. We have an early bird special for you. We'd love for you to, if you're going to go, register now so we can get an idea of how many we're going to have there. And we look forward to having a good time, but really diving into the patient experience. Our goal for you is to leave that day with a revamped new patient experience that is going to turn your patients into a raving fan base. It's not going to be cheesy stuff, right? I think within chiropractic, we always concern ourselves when we hear patient experience ideas, and it's this whole dog and pony show. This is going to be legitimate stuff that is tasteful, but ultimately marries your great clinical skill set with superior communication and then overall experience for your patients. So check that out at bit.ly/MCMUK26. All right, without further ado, here is my discussion with Dr. Curt Kippenberger. All right, excited to have Curt on the call today here in our podcast, one of our first associate coaches for MCM, and really helped us go from a small mom and pop shop of me doing some one-on-ones to building out a team here at MCM, helping out chiropractors. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Always a pleasure to come on and connect with our MCM community in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we dive into it, what was your positive out of 2025? As we record this, it's the early part of January, might be late January, early February as it comes out. But what was positive for you?
Yeah, I think we'll probably get into some of the topics that really helped me in the portage of 2024 to 2025. But everybody has rough times in practice, rough times with family, rough times in their professional career. In 2024, I mean, it just flat out it sucked, man. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of other things going on personally in my life.
Yeah.
Between my team internally here at Focus on Health, my family, my MCM family, including the coaching clients that we serve, and the mastermind communities. I mean, all of those troops rallying behind 2025 was a complete turnaround. We went from a fairly decent loss to a fairly decent, profitable gain in 2025. And so obviously you can imagine financially that's huge for us, for the practice, for our family. And, I don't want to say for your ego, but for your purpose, right? Like you spend a lot of time trying to refine your craft and be really good at it, and especially in the evidence-based world. And then you just get dinged up and you're like, well, is this even worth it? I would say just an overall flood of my purpose and my passion. I was actually talking with one of our clients this morning, and he said, I'm stepping into 2026 inspired. And I was like, man, I'm right there with you. That's exactly how I feel. I've
Mhm.
got as much fuel on my fire for what we're doing here internally at Focus on Health, what we're doing with MCM. And yeah, as Brett Winchester would say, I'm more on fire today than I was yesterday.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I learned some years ago from strategic coach. They talk about it is some years are stabilizing years and some years are accelerating years, and they're not all accelerating years, even the best ones. And it's okay to recognize that, probably for you, 2024 was a stabilizing year. And then you were able to stabilize that and accelerate in 25, and then probably compound that acceleration into 2026. And that's what we look for. If I were to do a cross section of a 10 years of a chiropractic practice, and whether this was mine and or yours or others, is I feel like in those 10 years, there's probably two. You hope that they're not back to back years, but there's probably two out of the 10 that are real stabilizing. Like, okay, we got to right the ship. And then, then from there, the eight would fall into hopefully some sort of accelerating, but I think there's a spectrum of that. Some are just kind of like, yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're not great. But then we have maybe four, three, four, five of them are like, oh, this is a really good accelerating year. And I think that is what one should expect when owning a business of any type, right?
Yeah. Everybody talks about the 7-year itch and so many different facets, right? And I had this weird crossroads in my life. I think it was right before Krista and I's 7-year anniversary, or maybe just after it, but it was before I was 7 years in practice for sure. And I just reflected back. I was like, man, okay, I was a high level wrestler for 7 years, and then it was done. And I raced my bicycle semi-professionally for 7 years, and then like that's
Mhm.
behind me. And I was like, okay, we made it to 7 years in our marriage. Like we're in year 8 or 9. Like, okay, cool. Then I was like, oh shit, I've got this chiropractic career. And I can remember when 7 years came, I was like, yeah, this wasn't so bad. And then, of course, a couple years later at the 10-year mark, that's when COVID hit. And so, yeah, maybe there's different itches, but you're certainly right. Somebody at some point is going to focus a tough time or something that really requires a high level of acuity to portage within your
Yeah.
first 10 years.
Yeah. Then there's always that funny saying about it is sometimes in your business, are you the firefighter or are you the arsonist?
You're
And
correct.
sometimes I think we might get bored sometimes and we set fire to our own business, maybe subconsciously, or we know some people that do it consciously. It kind of goes back also to, whether you use the fire analogy again, you got to kind of burn some shrubs there, or I always really enjoyed, Dr. Henry Cloud had a book and he talked about, it was called Necessary Endings was the book, and he talked about pruning your bush, and you got to prune that sometimes to allow for growth. So sometimes you do have to be a little bit of an arsonist. You don't want to burn the whole thing down, but you got to clear the brush, and that way you don't let it really burn on fire.
Right.
Um, and you have to be able to navigate that strategically, sometimes, and that can be the tricky part.
Absolutely. And, the brush that you're speaking of it could be human resources, it could be procedures or processes, it could be systems. And I think just constantly evaluating those needs is what takes to drive a business forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things I also wanted to mention, from what you were saying, was, you are a coach to other chiropractors. I'm a coach to other chiropractors. We have Ashley Jordan. We're onboarding another one. We're growing. Um, and I've faced this, and you probably did. Sometimes, even us coaches, we have our own struggles in our practice. Like it would be really a farce if you thought even the chiropractors with good practice, because you have a really good practice. I know I do. And Ashley, like we have good practice, but even with that, it doesn't mean we're immune to the struggle, right? It's part of it. But sometimes you, as a coach, are like, well, shit, like my practice is having a bad month or a bad day or a bad year. You kind of get a little bit frustrated with that because you're coaching chiropractors to do that. And I've been in that. I mean, we've had some years where it's like shit, really bad. but it's being able to work through that is a skill set, and having coaches or mentors or groups accountability to help you through those times, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you. I'm sure it's 100%. If it's not, let's just call it 80% of my clients. As we're approaching the end of our call, I think I've thanked them for they gave me more than I gave them that day. And I think that's the unique thing about mentorship is it's not an I'm a leader, follow me. It's we're learning together and we're going through these processes together. And hopefully we identify some things that you
Mhm.
maybe haven't navigated that we can help you navigate. Maybe you see some things that we're about to have to navigate. And that co-learning, I think, is something I really appreciate about the MCM community. And both in our coaching and in our mastermind, there's not a lot of ego in the room and there's no gurus and people are really just out to help make the profession better and make the person on the other end of the phone or the other end of the table better.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're coaching, like, we talk about it when we have our every other week coaches meeting is, we have our trainings and lessons and all that we have for MCM to help chiropractors better at marketing, business, communications, finances, all the things, and we work clients through that stuff. But then we have to recognize sometimes it's a call where we're just putting out fires, or there's an opportunity. Like, oh, you got a really good opportunity, so it's on the positive note. Sometimes we have to come in like it's bar rescue and
Yes.
and try to get it going. And that's fun too, right? It's always interesting navigating the different scenarios that we do face that these practice owners do, deal with.
You just inspired me to wear a suit to every call and grow my hair back and slick it back a little John Popper style. That's awesome.
I would, yeah. I mean, it would be fun to go and actually go in person and do chiropractic rescue missions at clinics in person.
I know you and I have talked about that idea of going and auditing a practice that we're, engaged with in coaching. And yeah, sometimes spending an hour or two just as a fly on the wall, you can really identify some opportunities or really pat some people on the back and say, wow, man, we've seen this 200 other times and what you're doing is a well-oiled machine. And, I think that's a cool idea. It's very logistically difficult, but I think on down the line, maybe that's something we should look forward to.
Yeah, it probably comes with a price point that too many chiropractors might not want to pay. Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do the search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. I wanted to switch gears a little bit, based on your clients you have that you're coaching, or some of the members we have in a mastermind that you collaborate with and work with. What are some of the things you're seeing some of the best practices do the right way to get where they are?
Yeah, if we look at that idea that you were talking about the pruning, one of our mastermind members, Ben Fergus, he uses a phrase blowing stuff up.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ben is probably one of the best in the world at just like really objectively evaluating things and just like this
Mhm.
isn't working. And he either flushes it or significantly changes it to pivot on a dime. And I think that realization that nothing is concrete, everything is plastic, everything's moldable. That's something we should strive for in private practice as clinicians, as business owners, because if we're doing the same thing that we were doing 2 years, 5 years ago, like we're stagnant. We're not serving our community or our patients any better. And so, yeah, I think the constancy of evaluation, the adaptability, that's what we're seeing some of the top practices do. And one of my wife's favorite quotes is, "Any system can be changed on your next new patient." And so you don't have to sit there and ho hum and give it 90 days to release this idea. You just hit
Mhm.
a dime and start tomorrow, next
Yeah.
hour.
No, definitely. And Ben, I feel is a really good representative of what an MCM doctor is. He is very clinically skilled and knowledgeable, but he also cares about running a good business and doing it ethically. And it's been cool to see him do that over the last handful of years.
Absolutely.
So cool. Now let's go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, and I think the other is, we evaluate the front end, so all of the
Mm,
systems and the stages, but I think something that the mastermind has really empowered me to do is really looking at the financial back end of everything. And we talk about delivering ethical care. Well, there's ethical ways to run your business too, and not just trying to money launder, not just trying to, bill for more what you do, but literally
mm,
protecting a profit margin that protects your practice, that protects yourself, that encourages good, healthy growth. I think until we heard Ray Tuck talk, 2 or 3 years ago in Mastermind, I had judged everything off of our top line revenue, and not
mhm.
necessarily on purpose. It was just easier numbers to look at, right? It's like,
Yeah.
collect $1 million and 995 went out. You're like, cool, we made 500 or $5,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, long term, that's not very sustainable. And I think that to have the ability to maintain grit, you have to have a healthy profit margin. And I think the
Mm,
cash confidence course that MCM released is a really great platform to understand your numbers in depth and make sure that you're doing this not only 2 days from now, but 2 years, 20 years, 40 years down the line. And it's got some equity at the end to get rid of.
yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one thing we try to do is, you know, I think there's I think there's a misconception that chiropractic practices aren't worth anything when you go to retire. Now, yeah, I mean, the vast majority of chiropractic practices probably won't sell for your entire retirement nest egg. There are some that will if you can get into the 2 to 3 million revenue range with good EBITDA. You could probably get a very good chunk for something like that from private equity. Granted, a person that's got a practice doing that kind of revenue is probably living a little high on the hog, and so you need more nest egg to maintain your lifestyle. It's all relative, right? You give someone $3 million, and they would probably be doing jumping jacks and set for retirement. Others is like, okay, that's one part of my retirement. I need more, but you get the point. You can sell it for a pretty good piece of your retirement, not everything. And we want to build it that way. We want to build it that way from the beginning. And I think that's what our aim is as coaches. So not even for the fact of selling it down the road, but if you do it the right way like that now, it becomes more profitable and becomes your kind of golden goose. And then you're able to do things like I had posted in our Facebook group, we've had, I think, 9 MCMers, whether they're coaching clients or mastermind, over the last 3 or 4 years buy their office real estate that I know of. And that's a big chunk of your retirement down the road. And so if the practice can spit off profits to be able to do something like that, then you're on a whole other playing field with it. It's not, I don't think everybody has to buy. I don't think it's the end all be all, but it's definitely nice in the scenarios that it makes sense to do that. But let's switch gears a little bit. You've been coaching for a while, even before you were coaching with us. But what are some of the kind of mistakes you see with some of the clients you work with, and something they need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think the majority of our profession probably looks at mentorship and coaching as a luxury or maybe on an as needed basis. And I really think that regardless of you surrounding yourself with like-minded peers and creating your own mastermind, whether you engage with a formal coaching service like MCM or whether you join formal groups like the MCM Mastery for Mastermind or Strategic Coach, those high level rooms, you have to have that. It's not a luxury, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people come in having a specific need, and then they might withdraw for a while to go work on that.
Mhm.
But the problem is, just like our patients, when they self-release or when they withdraw, their acuity, their audit to, come back in, it's not always there. And then life
Mhm.
gets busy and you have a kid or something else changes and it just gets pushed off. And so I think making mentorship, whatever that means to you, a non-negotiable and something that holds you accountable to, a monthly phone call, a quarterly would be, gosh, bare minimum. And I say the
Mhm.
same thing to my patients. I don't trust anybody's biomechanics past 90 days. So
Mhm.
don't be frolicking out in the world on your own. Like, let's at least put a Snellen chart to the damn thing and see if your movement can still see. Um, but I think the other phase of that is when things get hard,
Mhm.
people tend to wanna pull back the reins and maybe leave their coaching or leave their consulting, and that could be financially hard, I get it. Sometimes you just
Mhm.
gotta split hairs and do what you do financially, I understand that. But I do think there's a certain percentage of folks that they have difficulty compartmentalizing and
Mhm.
prioritizing their practice needs or their professional or personal needs. And so that's where mentorship can be really great because not only do we identify those things when we say, hey, you know what? Like you've got these six big projects. Let's
Mhm.
prioritize what's an A project, what's a B project, what's a C. Let's assign a date to the A projects. Let's put a barometer on the Bs. C's are going to be in the parking lot until we knock off some of these A's or B's. And I think
Yeah.
that when you're stuck inside the pic or when you're stuck inside the frame, it's hard to see the whole picture, right? So
Mhm.
when you're in the trenches, you got 2 choices. You can fight and you can be the buffalo and go through the storm, or you can withdraw, and I see too many people withdraw at the
Mhm.
wrong times.
Yeah, and to your point with, like, affordability or, you getting a little crunched, I often tell the story. I haven't told in a while, so I'll tell it now, but, I 2015, 2016 was really hard for me financially, both in the practice. We were trying to navigate going out of network at a time. I lost a doctor. I was going through a divorce. Like, it was a lot. And I definitely had started to bury myself financially, and it was hard. Couldn't right the ship. And I remember some people don't know, but I had a different podcast called The Modern Desk Jockey, which is the first podcast I started in 2016 before I started this podcast in 2017. And I had a podcast, a podcast producer back then, and he had changed careers from a financial advisor to podcast production. He's done really well with that, which has been cool and really helped me get started. And he would listen to my episodes, obviously producing them, and he had emailed me. He's like, "Hey, I know your podcast is about health and wellness for the desk worker, but financial peace of mind is goes into that. Would you want to interview someone on that?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he connected me with a guy, and I interviewed him. And I'm interviewing this guy about financial wellness, and I'm like, "Man, he's hitting all the right buttons with me, and I need some help." And so after I got done recording that interview, I reached out to them, and I remember it was going to cost $1,500 a month, and I mean I was losing two or three times that a month at the time,
Right.
and I did it, and I found a way to do it, and it really got me out of it and on a good pace, and I just owe so much to that. And it was a hard decision to spend money when you're losing money or even if things are tight, but having the trust that I needed someone to help me out of this, and I did, and I'm much better off for it. So, sometimes it feels tight to make it happen, but that's kinda when you need to do it a lot of times.
Yeah, and I
Like, there's
think
a reason why it's tight, right? You
right, yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, the definition of insanity is continue to do the same things over and over and get the same result, and I think that we've caught in that hamster wheel effect. But, the opportunity cost of something like that, if you have a good group of people that you know, like, and trust. I mean, one of the favorite things about the mastermind is our hot seats, right? It's like,
Mhm.
what obstacle or what opportunity do you have? And sometimes they are significant obstacles. I mean, we've had people up and relocate their practice thousands of miles
Yes,
away.
that's
They
right.
had a good, healthy thing going.
Yeah.
Uh, we've had people like the real estate things. We've had lots of different great conversations, and yeah, to be able to run that up the flagpole of known,
Mhm.
liked, trusted colleagues is invaluable.
Yeah, and I did a kind of on the other side of it is on coaching is there are those that are doing very well and still have coaching. And I had kind of went through our coaching client list and also our mastermind list, and I don't say this number because you have to have this number to have a great practice. I've never been a big fan of like you got to have the $1 million practice for it to be good practice. I don't believe that. I think it's awesome and amazing,
Brilliant
and you can get
milestone.
there.
Yeah.
get there. Like I love it, but I counted, we have 16 practices that I know of that are above that 1 million mark in revenue, and some of them quite a bit more. And yet they're getting our coaching or they're in the mastermind. Some do both. They're just trying to get even better, right? And I think that's cool is when you also have clients that have great practices, which we have many, but they know they need someone in their corner to get even better and have that accountability. Also, we have a good group feel both on our coaching and mastermind where if we don't have the answer, we have someone in our sphere that does. And so that's been pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting, and I'm sure this is not just intra profession to chiropractic, but um, you know, I don't know how many MPI seminars I've taken. I don't know how many times I've taken the same seminar. I've been to Adjustathon just about as many times as in years I've been in practice, at least 15 over the last 18 or 19 years of opportunity that I could have been there. And guess what? I still learn something new every damn time. Even though they are allowing me to be a co-instructor, I still learn something new. And the same things with mentorship. Like once you start to feel like you've got it all figured out, you either need to get a bigger room
Mhm.
or you need to quit looking in the mirror for advice because
Yeah.
that person's telling you the wrong thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie? No problem. We can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org. What are you excited about in 2026 or just in some of the things that you're seeing practices do or the profession?
Yeah, personally, we are really, even though I suspect that this will be, another really great year, we did plant a lot of seeds in the soil as we came to the end of 2025. So
Mhm.
I've done some tech upgrades. We're doing some 3D or 3D markerless capture system through Kinetisence. And we're going to integrate that into our functional movement evaluations.
Mhm.
Finally bit the bullet after years and got a shockwave unit. We're integrating that into,
Yeah.
the orthopedic side of our practice. We're doing some other things for our gym. So I'm just really excited about reinvesting some tech and some healing technology that's going to help us focus on health and movement lab to another level. I think, I was reading one of your emails this morning about, cash versus insurance and what to
Mhm.
do. I think what's really cool is it's not a binary decision anymore. Like you don't have to just be cash. You don't have to just be insurance. I think this
Mhm.
hybrid practice that you referenced is really, I don't want to say the next step, but there's certain areas that it's just very advantageous to remain in network and it removes those initial barriers of access. And so long as you're doing some of these add-on services ethically and empathetically to your patient population and their needs, everybody wins, right? Like we've talked, what's the phrase we use? Like if it improves your outcomes and improves your incomes, that's actually a good thing for both parties. So I'm excited to see a lot of, all of these big, cool technological advances happening around the periphery of our profession and seeing how it's really elevating chiropractic as a whole. ART was such like a mind blowing breakthrough when Mike Leahy dropped this soft tissue technique, and it's helped so many practices that still to this day standing the test of time. I'm looking at shockwave and high level laser and needles, all is the same way, and I think that we're just going to see better and better things from our evidence based chiropractors.
Yeah, I had sent out that email because, obviously there's a big trend going cash, and I get it. I think there's a misconception that going all cash is the holy grail. I think there's a misconception that being in network with insurances is evil and it's terrible. And this coming from someone that dropped all the insurances and gone cash, and I'm personally glad I did. but the circumstances were there for me to for me to do it. But yeah, the reality of it is a lot of the big healthy practices that we see, they are in network with insurances and have found a good way to have cash packages. Easy. Like ours is 8 visits in our practice for cash patients, or add-on services like dry needling, laser, shockwave, and get good at that. Because the interesting test case on that is if you're happen to listen to this and you're an in-network provider and you're thinking about going out of network, why don't you test run seeing if your practice can sell add-on services or to your cash patients now and get good at that. And because if you can't get good at that, good luck going cash. You're not, it's going to really struggle. Now, if you can get really good at it, you may find that you don't need to do it. You might find that your office visit average is pretty healthy because a fair amount of your insurance patients are paying for cash services to add on to the insurance.
Yeah.
Or you might get really good at it and you find, yeah, I do want to drop some of them or all of them, and that's fine. But let's work through that. And that's something I think a lot of we've been working a lot with our clients on getting good at that in an elegant way. It's not the 6-month care plan. It's not the $6,000 care plan. It's not like the hard sales tactics that those things take. It's an elegant way of doing it at a reasonable offering.
I think most providers make that decision on cash versus, in network based off of emotional charges.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's hard. Oh, I got to file all this paperwork. You still got to take notes. You still got to do your diligence and take good care of people. When you evaluated yours, I mean, I know the story. Like you were watching your reimbursements rate continue to plummet, and you literally just did a cost benefit analysis of how long is this sustainable? And we've had to do those same things, and you just get creative. And if you are seeing that trend, I mean, I've been in practice 15 years. I'm sure everybody else that's listening, whether you're here 15 months or, twice as long as I have, none of us have probably seen a big increase in our reimbursement rates. And that's,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just a simple truth. But you can sit there and bitch and moan about it, and you can continue to do what you're doing. You can find insanity. You can adapt yourself and become a hybrid, or you can just burn the boats and go all cash, but just make sure you're doing it objectively. You're not just doing it because it's hard or it's easier or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we have plenty of clients that are cash based and doing well, and we work with them on that. Again, that's my practice, so I'm very attuned to it on how to make it work, and it
Right.
could be good. And my concern with like the big care plans, like when you get into the 3, 4, $5,000 ones, is that on the surface it seems like it makes sense because I'm all for chiropractors escaping the commoditization trap. I'm all for them charging what they're worth. I do think chiropractors are worth a lot. So I'm all on board with it. But I think the problem is when you see a lot of people doing it is inherently there's a very small percentage that can do it. And you might see those testimonials or those people that have done it, but it's a small percentage, just like there's a small percentage of NFL quarterbacks that are worth $50 million. Like, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that are worth nothing. And so in any industry, there are going to be the outliers or small percentages that can do something pretty unique. And that being able to sell those large care plans and the long care plans, those takes a very certain type of person and a certain type of sales tactic uh, to do it. And so that's tricky and something that you have to definitely navigate. I do think there are plenty of I shouldn't say think. I know there's plenty of cash-based practices and styles of cash-based practices, or the things we teach, where you don't have to do that and you can still do very well. And that's some of the things we try to thread that needle.
And one last thing to add to that, unfortunately, too, it just takes time and experience. When we
Yeah.
were 15 days out of school versus 15 years, the acuity on your cases are so much different, and you can make such faster clinical decisions. And so school's great. It teaches you how to assess people, make sure you're not going to hurt them, and qualify them for chiropractic care. And it checks all the boxes that you were smart enough to pass all the boards. Beyond that, I mean, you're starting at patient 0 when you get out,
Yeah.
and to try to sell somebody, a package that's probably elegant, probably really good for them, right? Like,
Yeah.
if it's including chiropractic and some exercise management and some diet and lifestyle, whatever arms that you're delivering, that's great. But yeah, to sell that up front is very, very challenging. You got to get good at what you call the table stakes, like get good with your hands, get good
Yeah.
with manipulation and soft tissue, and get good results, and then let people start spreading the word and use your patients as your ground soldiers. One of my friends sent me Instagram video, and it was a medical doctor evaluating something that Peter Attia had on his podcast.
Mhm.
He was like, everybody thinks that just because we have an MD or a DO behind our name, we know everything and we're impervious to error. He's like, we get zero nutrition, we get zero lifestyle, we get zero this. Like Peter Attia spent a good chunk of his middle career learning how to be a lifestyle and health span expert. He didn't get that at Hopkins, or I don't remember where he went to school. I think it was Hopkins. And same thing here. Like we went to Logan, both you and I. Like we did not get the experience that we have had over the 15 years, 20 in your
Mm.
case, to replace that. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it just takes time to get good at it. And those other skill
Yeah.
sets are great. Like being able to talk, being able to
Mm.
sell things, those are very great traits. But you've got to have that clinical experience behind what you sell to really
Mm.
be, um, I don't know, ethical in the delivery of it.
Yeah. And we do know Logan is akin to Hopkins, right?
Yeah, I think it's the Hopkins of the Midwest.
Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years. And that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. You know, when you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return. And we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment. And that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast. To your point, yeah, like there's a good episode. It was 3 or 4 years ago now with James Spencer. He's actually not too far from me here, and I've got to know him when he was a student all the way up. And that's a good episode where he was someone he charges a lot, like $500 an hour now. It might be even more since that episode. But he spends an hour but he didn't start with that. He started regular, worked his way up, really built an expertise in a niche, and he's on the, top 5% or 1% of demand, and he's in a very affluent area, and he kept on just increasing his rates incrementally to get there, and it worked out. I think what we're finding is too many the docs haven't been able to position themselves as an expert yet because it takes time and word of mouth and all that, and they come out of the gates with the 400 or 500 an hour, and then that becomes really challenging. And again, some can do it, but I just don't know if enough can for it to make sense for a lot of people. And I think there's a lot of ways you can build a great practice without doing that early on. And then if you get to the point where you are now the expert, you can keep on increasing rates, or you can drop the insurances. I mean, that's obviously what I did. Was I did have, people forget I've kind of led 2 lives in this profession, and people think of me now with MCM and business and marketing, but I was the sports chiro and working with a lot of pro athletes and going to combine and all that. And I really built up, luckily, a level of expertise, traveled on the PJ Tour for a year, did a lot of cool things so that when I did go drop insurances, I had a level of expertise in the eyes of the beholder, at least. I'm not saying I was the best chiropractor, that's for sure, but I know people thought I was, um, that it worked out. It still was hard.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's hard, if like, let's say you go with that high value model right out of the gates. If you get 1 or 2 patients to sign up for that, you're like, "Man, that was $1,000." Like,
Yeah.
that's good. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, if you go 30 days in between that next one,
I know.
that's where you start to starve a little bit.
Yeah. So, well, look at man, I'm excited going to see you here next week in Park City. Then we'll see each other in Tampa. We're going to see each other in Sonoma, in Bar Harbor, Maine, in Dallas, and then probably at an MPI seminar.
Yeah, think your and I's travel schedules have gotten closer and closer to each other. If we go a couple weeks without seeing each other, I get withdrawals. I don't know about you, but
Exactly. Exactly. So, no, definitely looking forward to it. And thanks for your time today, man. This is great.
absolutely, yeah, thanks for having me again, Kevin. Look forward to 2026.
Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things. And we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.